Thank you so much. Hello.
In a world where women's voices were often silenced, one girl learned to speak through her feet. Long before stadiums echoed her name, before the gold medals and the screaming fans, Mia Hamm was just a quiet kid chasing a ball across military fields. Faster, hungrier, and braver than anyone expected. But how does a shy girl from Alabama become the heartbeat of a global movement? How does one player carry the dreams of millions of girls who were told, "Sports aren't for you"? This isn't just a story about goals and trophies. It's about grief, resilience, and the will to keep running when the world doubts your place in the race. Before women's soccer filled arenas, before equality was even a conversation, there was Mia, a name that turned into a battle cry, a legacy that changed not just the game, but the very idea of what it means to win. Because some heroes don't wear crowns. They wear cleats and run until history remembers their footsteps. Mia Hamm was born in 1972 in Selma, Alabama, a place with deep history where struggle and strength often walked hand in hand. Her father was an Air Force pilot, which meant the family rarely stayed in one place. By the time Mia turned 10, she had lived in several states and even spent time overseas. Constant movement became her normal. Every new base, a new beginning. But amidst that instability, one thing never changed: the ball. Her brother Garrett, older and fiercely competitive, introduced her to soccer on dusty fields where goals were marked by rocks and shoes. For Mia, those games weren't just fun, they were freedom, yet behind her growing passion, tragedy loomed. Garrett was later diagnosed with a rare bone marrow disease, a battle that would shape Mia's heart forever. Watching her brother fight for his life taught her about courage, not the kind that wins matches, but the kind that keeps you moving when everything hurts. Her family wasn't rich. They didn't dream of fame. But they built her spirit from something stronger: discipline, empathy, and fire. And in that quiet military household, a legend was forming. One who would one day make the world listen to the rhythm of her steps. At 15 years old, while most teenagers were worried about school dances and homework, Mia Hamm was wearing the crest of the United States on her chest. She had become the youngest player ever to join the U.S. women's national team, a shy, ponytailed girl surrounded by veterans twice her age. The coaches saw something rare, not just skill, but relentless hunger. She wasn't the strongest or the tallest, but she played with a fury that turned heads. Each touch of the ball carried quiet confidence, the kind that doesn't need to shout to be heard. Her first taste of the world stage came in the 1991 Women's World Cup. Few believed a teenage forward could make a difference, but Mia's speed and vision tore through defenses like a storm. The U.S. team went on to win the tournament, their first world title, and suddenly the world knew her name. Still, fame didn't change her. After the final whistle, while others celebrated, Mia slipped away to call her brother Garrett, the person who had first taught her to play. "We did it," she whispered. That moment wasn't just a victory for a young athlete. It was the birth of a movement, a sign that women could own the field, command the spotlight, and rewrite what the future of soccer looked like. The world had seen Mia Hamm, but what no one knew yet: she was only getting started. By the mid-1990s, Mia Hamm was no longer just an athlete. She was the face of women's soccer. Every step she took on the field drew headlines. Every goal sent shockwaves across the sports world. In 1996, women's soccer made its Olympic debut in Atlanta. The pressure was suffocating. A new era rested on their shoulders. The U.S. team, led by Hamm, faced nations that doubted they belonged on such a stage. And yet, under the blinding southern sun, Hamm delivered. Her passes cut through defenses like poetry in motion. The final whistle blew and gold medals hung around their necks. The world had witnessed history. Women's soccer had arrived. But the real explosion came 3 years later. The 1999 Women's World Cup, hosted in the United States, wasn't just a tournament. It was a cultural revolution. Packed stadiums, millions of viewers, girls painting Mia's number 9 on their faces. When Brandi Chastain scored that final penalty and dropped to her knees, Mia was right there. Exhausted, tears streaming, knowing they had changed something far bigger than the scoreboard. Off the field, Hamm's influence multiplied. Time magazine named her one of the most influential athletes in the world. Nike built campaigns around her. She became a global symbol of empowerment, a hero to girls who finally saw themselves not as fans, but as future champions. And yet, through all the fame, Mia remained humble. Reporters described her as the superstar who hated the spotlight. She spoke little, but played like a thunderstorm, letting her feet tell the story. For a decade, Mia Hamm didn't just dominate soccer, she defined it. But behind that perfect image of grace and greatness, another battle was quietly brewing, one that no medal could protect her from. For the world, Mia Hamm was perfection, graceful, humble, unstoppable. But perfection is a heavy weight to carry. As her fame grew, so did the expectations. Every headline called her America's sweetheart of soccer, a label she never asked for. Behind the spotlight, Mia struggled with the relentless pressure to be flawless, both as an athlete and as a symbol of hope for millions of women. Every missed shot became national news. Every injury sparked rumors of decline. Then came the battles off the field, the fight for equality. The women's team, despite winning more and drawing record crowds, earned a fraction of what the men did. It was insulting, and it burned in Mia's chest. She spoke carefully, but her quiet defiance became louder than any press conference. She wanted justice not for herself, but for the girls coming after her. And beneath all of that, the fame, the medals, the causes, was the shadow of loss. Her brother Garrett's death years earlier still haunted her. In interviews, when asked about her motivation, she would pause and say softly, "I play for him." By the early 2000s, her body began to ache with years of battle. Torn muscles, fatigue, emotional scars. Reporters wondered if she had lost her edge. But those close to her knew. She was simply human, exhausted from carrying a generation's dream. In 2004, she announced her retirement. The news broke hearts across the nation. As she walked off the field one last time, a crowd of 25,000 stood to its feet, not to mourn the end, but to honor everything she had given. The curtain fell. The legend stepped away. But Mia Hamm's story wasn't over yet. It was only changing shape. Retirement didn't silence Mia Hamm. It gave her a new voice. When she hung up her cleats in 2004, many thought she would fade quietly into history. Instead, she stepped into an even bigger arena. Life beyond the game. She founded the Mia Hamm Foundation, dedicated to raising awareness for bone marrow diseases in honor of her late brother Garrett, and to empower young girls through sports. Every event, every fundraiser carried the same fire she once brought to the field, determination wrapped in grace. But she wasn't done changing the rules. In a male-dominated industry, Mia became one of the few women to invest in a professional men's soccer team. Los Angeles Football Club, LAFC. It was a move that shocked many but inspired countless others. She didn't just play the game anymore. She was helping build its future. When asked what drives her now, she smiled and said, "I want my daughters to grow up knowing they can stand anywhere. On the field, in the boardroom, or anywhere in between." Her reinvention wasn't about reclaiming fame. It was about legacy, using everything she had earned to open doors for others. From player to pioneer, from icon to architect of change, Mia Hamm had transformed once again, proving that greatness doesn't retire. It evolves. There are athletes who win games, and then there are those who change them forever. Mia Hamm didn't just lift trophies. She lifted an entire generation. Her number 9 jersey became more than a uniform. It became a symbol of what women could achieve when the world stopped telling them no. Every time a little girl laces up her cleats, somewhere in that echo is Mia's spirit, running, pushing, believing. Her influence extends far beyond soccer fields. She redefined leadership not through ego, but through empathy. She showed that true strength isn't loud. It's quiet, relentless, and kind. The modern stars, Alex Morgan, Megan Rapinoe, and so many others, all run in the footsteps she left behind. Years after her retirement, when asked what she misses most, Mia simply said, "The sound. The sound of the ball meeting the net." That sound still resonates, not just in stadiums, but in the hearts of everyone she inspired. Because Mia Hamm proved that greatness has no gender, no limits, and no finish line. It's not about how long you run, but how far your story goes.